In the stillness of the night, when reality blurs into the surreal, we find ourselves face to face with our deepest fears. Today on Scarier Things, we're not just sharing stories. We're sharing true encounters that have left their mark on reality. Our first tale, The Walking Dead, is a chilling testament to the thin line between life and death. Our second story, It Came for Us in the Graveyard, is a haunting reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. These are not mere tales spun from the threads of imagination. These are real experiences shared by real people. So, brace yourself as we journey into the realm of the real and the terrifying. Remember, the world is stranger and scarier than you think. First story, The Walking Dead. In the initial phase of my profession as a mental health nurse, I was assigned to a residential psychiatric institution. Among the diverse residents, there was one individual who was particularly intriguing: an elective mute. This term refers to someone who opts not to speak, despite having no medical impediments preventing them from doing so. This man had been capable of speech earlier in his life, and apart from his towering height of nearly 7 feet, he was quite ordinary. His roots traced back to the Deep South, and at the age of 19, he enlisted in the military. However, his life took a dramatic turn when he disappeared one night. He was initially declared a WOL, and as time passed without any sign of him, he was eventually presumed missing and ultimately dead. A decade later, a man of the same towering height walked into a VA hospital emergency room in the Midwest. He introduced himself to the receptionist as Marion Duchesne, of pseudonym, and made a startling declaration: "I've been dead for 10 years." Those words marked the end of his verbal communication forever. He was found covered in dust, wearing the same clothes he was reportedly last seen in. His social security number had remained untouched, and he carried no identification. Despite these challenges, the authorities managed to confirm his identity, presumably through fingerprints. His family was informed of his miraculous return, but they refused to accept that the man could be their lost kin. They had mourned and grieved his loss, and they insisted on not being disturbed again. Marion spent his days pacing incessantly. His lips moved as if he were whispering or muttering to himself, but no sound was ever produced. He had a peculiar habit of throwing his head back, opening his mouth wide as if he were laughing heartily, but not a single sound or breath was heard. Whenever I attempted to engage him in conversation, he seemed to listen attentively, periodically responding with his silent, laughter-like gesture. We tried various medications, but none seemed to have any positive or negative impact on him. Occupational therapy proved futile, as Marion would simply smile and resume his pacing, unless explicitly instructed to remain seated. On my final day at the facility, the last image I have of Marion is of him pacing in the parking lot, periodically throwing his head back in his characteristic silent laughter. In retrospect, I sometimes wonder if I had been interacting with a specter all along. Even after all these years, the mystery remains unsolved. This story serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and mysteries of the human mind. It highlights the challenges faced by mental health professionals in understanding and treating conditions that defy conventional medical wisdom. It also underscores the resilience of the human spirit, as embodied by Marion, who, despite his silence and the mystery surrounding his past, continued to engage with the world around him in his own unique way. His story continues to haunt me, a chilling yet fascinating enigma that underscores the enduring mystery of the human psyche. Second story, It Came for Us in the Graveyard. On a chilly evening, my friends and I found ourselves navigating through an enormous Eerie graveyard in my friend's Subaru. This car, a testament to time, was far from its prime, with its paint peeling off and the engine making odd noises. Yet it held a certain charm, a sense of nostalgia that made it special. We decided to take a break from our drive, parking the car near a steep hill. We ventured down the hill, our footsteps echoing in the silence, and stumbled upon a serene pond. The water was still, reflecting the moonlight, and added an element of tranquility to the otherwise spooky surroundings. Across the pond, we noticed a figure perched on a rock. It was hard to discern any details due to the dim light, but it appeared to be a man dressed entirely in black, complete with an antiquated top hat. In a moment of naive courage, we waved and called out a friendly hi. However, the figure remained motionless, seemingly oblivious to our presence. Suddenly, the figure sprang to his feet and began sprinting towards us, his feet barely touching the water surface. It was as if he was defying the laws of physics, running on the water itself. But halfway across the pond, he simply disappeared, evaporating into thin air. Fear gripped us, and we sprinted back up the hill to the safety of the car, our hearts pounding in our chests. To our horror, the car refused to start. As we sat in the eerie silence, a strange banging sound echoed from the back of the car. It wasn't a constant noise, but every few seconds, we would hear it. We peered into the darkness, but there was no sign of anyone or anything that could be making the noise. In desperation, I pulled out my phone to call my mom, hoping she could come and give us a jump start. But my phone showed no service. A quick check confirmed that none of us had any cell service. We were cut off from the outside world, trapped in our old Subaru in the middle of a graveyard. The next half hour was a blur of fear and frustration as we tried everything we could think of to get the car started. The banging had stopped, but a heavy, oppressive feeling hung in the air, as if we were being watched. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the car roared to life. My friend floored the accelerator, and we sped out of the graveyard, leaving the unsettling experience behind us. As soon as we crossed the gates of the graveyard, our phones buzzed back to life, their screens lighting up with the welcome sight of cell service. As we drove away, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we had encountered something beyond our understanding that night. It was neither human nor animal, but something else, something that lurked in the shadows of the graveyard, waiting for unsuspecting visitors like us. The experience left us with more questions than answers, but one thing was certain: we were not alone that night in the graveyard. This chilling encounter served as a stark reminder of the unknown, the unexplained phenomena that exist in our world, often hidden in plain sight. It was a night we would never forget, a story we would recount in hushed whispers, a mystery that would forever remain unsolved. And that brings us to the end of our journey into the unknown. We hope these true tales of terror have left you with a chill down your spine and a curiosity for the mysteries that lurk in the shadows. Remember, these stories are real, and they remind us that sometimes the scariest things are not the ones in our imagination, but the ones that exist in reality. Thank you for joining us on Scarier Things.